This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. How is that fun opening? Happy holidays! Today, I bring to you the definitive best-looking Japanese 3D animated film ever, Lupin III: The First. This is a 2019 action comedy heist film and the first 3D feature of the long-running Lupin III franchise. It tells a globe-trotting adventure set in the 1960s in which gentleman thief Lupin III must steal a high-tech weapon before the Nazi remnants find it. If that sounds kind of familiar, hold that thought, we'll come back to it. Lupin III as a franchise has been popular in Japan for over 50 years now. Yet it remains niche internationally, so this series made its jump into 3D CG to attract overseas viewers. Yet despite its title, The First, the film is not a prequel and it doesn't really explain itself much. So that's what we are going to do this holiday. Let's explore the movie and the history behind it so you can appreciate it to its fullest. Grab your hot cocoa, this is Lupin III: The First. Longtime viewers of this channel know that I have strong opinions regarding 3D anime. Have you used a blender before? To be clear, I'm not the only one. 3D animation has been a sore spot in the anime industry for a while now. The question of why can't Japan make good 3D CG has been discussed on and off for decades. Some filmmakers see it as a good way to push Japanese animation to the world. Miyazaki hates it like he hates everything else. So it was particularly exciting when Lupin III: The First was released and despite budget constraint, gets everything right. What do I mean? Let's start from the basics, lighting. In nearly every shot, the lighting is carefully crafted. The warm key light comes from the far side, highlighting the character's nose ridge, lips, and even the lapel of the jacket. It gives characters definition. The bluish fill light creates contrast in both brightness and color. Characters are also given catch light, which gives their eyes that endearing specular highlight. Finally, there's also the rim light, highlighting the character's edge. It defines their silhouettes and helps them pop from the background. Speaking of silhouettes, they are superb. Characters pop from one key pose to another, reminiscent of a Tom and Jerry cartoon. This helps preserve visual clarity. Even in hectic action sequences, you can tell at a glance what each character is doing. That hat catch is such a nice touch. It also helps that compositions also guide your eyes. Here, red guardrails are used to bring attention to Lupin. And in this shot, this dead tree and the mountains add a lot of visual noise. The non-important characters blend into the background. It shifts your attention to the left, which has a bigger character against a single big mountain. I can keep praising this movie's visual, from the atmosphere to character details. But I think you get the point. At every corner, this film is made with care and respect. Indeed, the crew brought in animators from the TV series to ensure Lupin looks right in 3D. It's not an easy task, because befitting of a master in disguise, Lupin's visual style is ever-changing. But the film pulled it off with flying colors. Even to people unfamiliar with the character, the design remains instantly memorable and iconic. From just this, you can tell how much respect Lupin III commands. This brings us to our next question. Just who the heck is Lupin? If you are starting a Lupin III watch party this holiday, and you absolutely should, then consider using Squarespace to create an invitation website. A personalized event website has so much more personality than a simple text email. You can put videos on it. The best part, it barely takes more time than crafting an email. Simply pick a template, edit accordingly. I just use stock images here. The editing process is intuitive, and the result always looks good. Even if you are a first-timer with high standards, Squarespace provides plenty of resources to help you meet your expectations. There's also 24/7 customer support, so time zone is also not a concern. Start a free trial at squarespace.com/accentecinema and use the code accentecinema to get 10% off your first purchase. Want to make your events, businesses, or portfolios that much more special? start a website with Squarespace, and show off your personality today. So, who is Lupin III? Well, you might be more familiar with his grandfather, Arsène Lupin. Written by French novelist Maurice Leblanc, the Tales of Arsène Lupin is one of the earliest examples of the gentleman thief subgenre. From the unparalleled skills to flirtatious personality, to a co-op owner stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, as well as sending out calling cards. Arsène may not be the first gentleman thief, but he established the tropes and popularized the archetypes, especially in Japan. In the 1920s, the works of Leblanc were translated into Japanese, and the romanticism found in those stories made a significant impact on the literature scene. For example, The Fiend with 20 Faces, an antagonist created by Edogawa Ranpo, bears a close resemblance to Arsène Lupin. If you are a Detective Conan fan, you know how much the works of Edogawa inspired the series. Sure enough, found in Detective Conan is yet another gentleman thief, calling cards and all. Heck, Detective Conan even made a crossover with Lupin. From Tuxedo Mask in Sailor Moon to Danjiro Tobita in My Hero Academia, over the century, the gentleman thief has become a big part of Japanese pop culture, and Lupin III is one of the most popular. Created by manga artist Monkey Punch, yes, that's the name, Lupin III, the character, is the grandson of Arsène. The manga series, started in 1967, is a comedic slapstick take on the Leblanc stories, sprinkled in with elements of sex, violence, and power fantasy. Lupin III and his friend would engage in various heists, occasionally double-crossing each other, all while being chased by Interpol officer Zenigata. Basically, an adult-oriented Tom and Jerry. However, this mature edge wasn't always there. In the first anime adaptation, Lupin was rather mean-spirited. The audience didn't like it, and ratings were low. So the production company fired the original director and brought in two newbie directors, Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, to retool the series in a more family-friendly direction. Since then, every artist would inject their own personality into Lupin, making it a tonally and visually very inconsistent franchise. Lupin would be a hedonistic narcissist in one movie and a gentleman with a wounded soul in another. All of that sounds really bad, but it is absolutely not. I'll go into why later. Just know that in over 50 years, Lupin III has become one of Japan's most iconic characters. Spike from Cowboy Bebop, Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, Joker from Persona 5, all took inspirations from Lupin III. The grandson has carried the legacy of his grandfather in shaping Japanese pop culture. So, here's a question. Why am I recommending this for Christmas? While it is not a Christmas movie, Lupin III the First is a comforting film, warm and familiar, befitting of the season. I mentioned that the Lupin franchise is tonally and visually inconsistent, and as you can see, it does vary a lot. Like, a lot. Yet, this variety is very fitting for a character with a folk character identity. Robin Hood, Zorro, the Three Musketeers, James Bond, from silly men in tights to a sly fox in the forest, none of these characters have a definitive version. Lupin III is the same. He is whatever the writer needs him to be. The franchise is defined by reimagining. Like an old folktale, it's comforting. That's what makes this movie so nice to watch. Speaking of James Bond, he was another big inspiration for Lupin III. From his killer instinct hidden by his playful exterior to having a Bond girl in every movie, Lupin is Japan's 007. Although Bond movies were new back when Lupin III was created, the spy archetype has since become a pop culture cornerstone, which in turn makes Lupin an instantly familiar and likable character. Additionally, Takeshi Yamazaki, the director of Lupin III the First, is a huge Hollywood buff. That explains why the film's story premise feels so familiar. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, racing against the Nazis for a mythical treasure, together with free trials and making fun of Hitler. Indiana Jones is, of course, Spielberg and Lucas's reimagining of classic adventure film serials. Even the set pieces are familiar, but all done with a jazzy snazzy Lupin aesthetic. From his character, to its story, to action, visual, and music. Everything in Lupin III fits right into the corner of our mind reserved for classic stories. It's the place you'll find characters like Frankenstein and Sherlock Holmes, a simple and nostalgic place for imaginations and reimaginations. With that, you can now jump into this film and feel right at home. So, the last question is this really the best movie to jump into the Lupin franchise? Well, here's my case to the Lupin fans out there. I think the answer is yes. Its strong point is certainly its mainstream appeal. Its updated visual and soundtrack are spectacular, and the light plot is easy to follow for newcomers. I don't know about you, but for Christmas, all I want is something simple, like punching Nazis. While it may not be the best movie, or even the most representative work, I think the movie will leave people wanting just a bit more. And that's precisely what makes it a great entry film. So, I guess in that sense, the movie does live up to its title. But you know what I really want to say? For this holiday, just cozy up with your loved ones and make it a double feature with the Castle of Cagliostro. Let your dreams wander in that nostalgic space. I promise, it will be beautiful.